Good evening, everyone. This is the November 9th meeting of the Grosse-Ile Township Public Service Commission. And we'll call the meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under for all. Looks like we have a quorum, a full house tonight, but I'll call them roll anyway. Costick is here. Kennedy?
Here.
Schmidtke?
Present, sir.
Reilly?
Yes.
Pusdesris?
Present.
Syrocki?
Here.
Nadeau?
Here.
And staff is here. Thank you. First item is approval of the agenda. I entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved. Second.
Who made the motion?
Dave.
Dave? All right, it's moved and supported. The agenda for tonight's meeting is to be approved. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The agenda is approved. Next, we have approval of our minutes of our October 2021 meeting. I'll entertain a motion for approval of the minutes. I'll make a motion for approval. Is there support?
All right.
It's been moved and supported. Any comments?
Yes, I have one addition. On page 3, starting out with the words encouraged information gathering, and please include survey done professionally. Then the rest of the sentence will read just fine.
John, where is that exactly? Right in
Well,
the middle of
it's
the page?
Yeah, it's in the middle of the page. Nadau's name and my name says encouraged information gathering, and then it should also include survey done professionally.
Staff, do you have that located? Okay. Are there any other comments about the October 12th minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of approval indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Next item on is approval of the bills, vouchers 10-1, 20 through 11-1. You've all had a chance to look at those. Are there any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the vouchers.
Motion. Second.
Moved and supported that the vouchers be approved. Are there any comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the vouchers are approved. Next, we have a statement of revenues and expenditures. We don't need a motion for that. Anybody have a question about it? We'll receive and file the statement of revenues and expenditures. I looked at them, they seem to be in line with we're at our, in terms of the fiscal year, we're in our 7th month, just a little over half a year. Next, we have the treasury report for October. Are there any comments? I'll move approval of the treasurer's report. Is there support?
Support.
Was that you, Dave?
Yep.
Any comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor of receiving the treasurer's report as submitted indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we got through those items. So there is no public present tonight, and we'll move beyond that. And are you going to give, I see Ryan's not here.
I can cover the wastewater treatment plant update underneath the project status report. He's walking in.
Okay.
Just walking in.
What we did for this agenda is we moved Ryan's report up towards the top part of the meeting, just so we can get him in and out of here earlier.
Don't sit down.
So.
Yes, Ryan's a new father, so he's got about a 2-month-old baby at home.
He's got things to do.
So we've moved this up so that he can get some sleep, I guess. So Ryan, it's your turn to give any comments you wish to provide us with tonight.
Nothing much new with the plan. We did have a little rain, but we fared well with the rain. So, but nothing new.
You guys went to the basin for the rain events we had, is that it, correct?
Yes, we did, and we filled it all the way. We were inches from having an SSO, but we didn't have one. So we just lucked out.
When was that? When we had all that rain about a week
A
ago?
couple weeks ago, yeah.
Everything was saturated?
Yes,
Still
it
is?
was.
Still is.
Because we had about 2 inches of rain 1 week, and then a week later we had 3 more inches. So exactly, everything was all saturated, but we just lucked out, really, I think.
And the new pumps and the primary tanks and everything, the bar screen all worked well?
It's all working well, yeah. So,
And
real
then
happy with that.
Jason did a tour with the Boy Scouts, what, on the 3rd or something like that?
It was a Monday. Yep. That went well. Yeah.
We had a request from the Boy Scouts here on the island that they wanted to tour the plant, so Jason set them up with a tour of the plant, and I think it went very well. Jason's a pretty good tour when it comes to
Yeah,
operations.
yes, he is.
He does a good job, so thank you for accommodating that request.
Yeah.
You know, that raises an idea. If the ACO is going to be placed before the voters at some point, and we need to talk about it not as not call it an ACO, we need to talk about it as administrative consent order from the state of things we have to do at the plant. Maybe we ought to have a couple open houses on a Saturday at the plant, so people have an opportunity to go to the plant and see it, and see how technologically complex it is with the pumps and the equipment we have there. Anybody have a comment on that?
I'd love that.
Okay.
That sounds good. Yeah, that works.
No, Derek,
Engineer
what's your
question.
thought on that? You're the township manager.
Oh, most definitely. I don't think that's a bad idea at all, Bill.
Okay, so if you don't have anything else, anybody have any questions of Ryan while he's here?
Yeah, I got one.
Yeah.
What about the elevator?
Not working right now.
Again?
Yes. Again. Actually looks like the most recent to repair it, it's pretty expensive. $13,000. It's a drive unit, and it was sent out to California because that's where they're located, and that how much it'll be, I guess, and yeah.
So you
But
guys
gotta
have
have
to
that.
lug that stuff up and down the stairs.
Well, if we have to, but we do have an option there. There's floor panels that are on each floor, and then if we have to, we can hoist items up and down, which is rare though. But so it just kind of seems with the elevator, it's just one expensive repair after the other one, and
We sure have
that's the
spent a lot
latest
of,
one.
we sure have spent a lot of money on that thing to keep it going.
And we have, so I don't know what we want to.
Well, that elevator is not that old, I don't think, is
It's
it?
not that old. It had a rebuild maybe 4 years ago. You know, everything was, and it just seems like
And that's when we had a problem getting a permit from the state.
exactly.
But,
So
you know, the only name I know is Otis is one elevator, but that's not Otis. What is it called? Lemon?
now it's
It's a real lemon. We really got a bad
Pony,
deal on
it's-
that elevator.
KONE, actually, because Detroit elevator got purchased. Now it's a new place. It's in Livonia, but it's the same staff and everything. But it just seems like it's one repair after another, and we can move items if needed up and down. It's more of a hassle.
Wow.
But it's not really a necessity in my view. It just kind of seems like it. You know, it's
Well-
not for moving us up and down. It's for
Well, we
you
should
know,
get it fixed. So
guess.
the question is, you mentioned 13,000 was a quote somebody
Yep.
gave you.
that's what I got.
We authorized that as
Yeah, usually we do that under their maintenance cap, and then if it exceeds that, then it'll come back to you as an overage, so.
Yeah.
so it's in process to get fixed.
Yeah. Yep. If that's yeah.
Okay.
Maybe we should look into getting a new Otis.
but
Yeah.
we could get a quote. I think
Yeah,
we'd be
don't-
stunned at the
No.
price.
Thousands of dollars.
Huh?
That'd be hundreds of thousands
Oh,
of
yeah.
dollars. I mean,
Well, and I know we did a rebuild, 4 years ago, but even then, before
Yeah.
that, I think that elevator was, it's only like, 13, 14 years old? I thought it was a newer elevator.
The
that was
problem
put
is
in there.
that with the new elevator, it has all these real sensitive VFDs and electronics. With the old one, didn't have that, and I just think that with this new elevator, that just it gets eaten up in the atmosphere, and it's just that
Chinese junk.
this part and this part, and it goes, and maybe it was meant for, if it was in like a perfect atmosphere in an office building, maybe it'd work great, but in the wastewater environment, it don't. It's just, and they just, they're happy to just keep repairing it, but
Oh, yeah, I would too.
so
So I guess it leads to a question. When we're doing the asset management plan, I assume they're going to cover the elevator,
Yes, yep.
and we'll know the manufacturer and when it was installed and when it was upgraded and so forth. I certainly don't want to go to the expense. I mean, I have no idea, but I imagine the construction would be terrible. They probably have to pull it out with a crane and lift it back in with a crane. I don't know. But at some point, I don't know what we're going to do.
Well, I like Ryan mentioned, is part of the reason that we're having problems with that elevator is because of the environment that it's in. If the HVAC system that we end up installing in that plant ends up improving the overall environment of the plant, will that improve the corrosive aspects that are causing the issues with that elevator? Which, that's my understanding, is it's very corrosive and causing problems with the components. So, I mean,
Yeah.
there could be some potential there for alleviating some of that with the HVAC system. So.
And now that you mention that, the last time we had the major repairs done, it was the cables, if you remember,
they had to replace
were rusted.
We
at the
replaced
point where the
those,
state
yep.
closed it down, yeah.
and then we got it's an open vent, which is in the elevator shaft, and that's all that we have there, and that's what the state inspector wanted, but I don't think is that really helping now. So no.
Well,
But-
anyhow, anything else to report? All
Nothing else.
All the new equipment's working well.
It's all working well, yeah. So that's the main thing.
Good. Okay, if there are no other questions, do you have any questions of us?
Nope. No.
All right, well then, thank you for being here.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Ryan.
everyone.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Next item is item number 11, action items. Recommended award of the West River Road Drain Project. Derek?
I was out of town on Thursday and Friday of last week, so when you received your packet, it didn't have the engineer's recommendation in it, so that's what's before you tonight. So the engineers were able to get that recommendation to me yesterday, so I'm passing that along to you, as well as within the motion itself. This was written before the bids came in, so what I'm recommending is that we plug in, based upon the engineer's recommendation, an award to Campo Brothers for this project at a cost of $110,815. So with that, if there's a motion, I'll go into it further.
I make a motion that we accept the bid of Campo Brothers to do this drainage project on West River Road.
I second that for the amount of 110,815.
So it has been moved and supported. A call to your attention, we did receive a bid, unit price bid analysis by the engineers tonight. We received it. So we have a motion, and are there any questions? No, we,
Bill or Derek, I understand the difference between the 168 and the 195. I mean, 110 seems, is there anything that,
I'm trying to look at the quantities. mean, the unit prices, and there's a huge difference
Yes.
between $80 and $272. Like if you look at the 24-inch
Pavement removal?
number 9,
Yeah.
Number 4.
Well,
I mean, there's, yeah, I mean, their unit prices are,
I think in a lot of cases, they come up with the end number and they start working backwards.
I was gonna say
Right,
that,
right.
because
You
it's,
know.
or oftentimes if there's any,
even the paving, if you look at the unit prices for paving items 10 and 11,
if
the
there's any,
quantity of expense rate there is $82,000, but the per square yard unit prices go from 56 down to 51, and then up to $86, and those must be quotes from paving contractors. So under this plan, we're not only going to replace the culvert, but we're going to pave in each direction about 150 feet.
Yeah, I think it's, in the action item, there's a map that kind of shows the limits of that on an overhead.
Yeah.
So that'll give you an idea, but yeah, I think it was about 150 feet either direction. I can tell you with the unit prices and whatnot, I did talk to Campo Brothers before they put the bid in. We actually had a non-mandatory pre-bid conference, and the owners kind of mentioned to me that they really wanted to get this project, so they were going to bid it very competitively. We do have quite a bit of history with Campo Brothers, and they haven't shown any kind of inclination to bid things low and didn't do change orders to make up the difference or anything like that. It's a contractor that we have quite a bit of faith in as far as them, performing well with the various projects that they do for us. So it could just be that it's a good project for them that they wanted to do, and they bid it competitively as a result. So, I would take it as a good bid, and we have an engineer's recommendation. So I'd expect them to do a good job for us.
Derek, I think there's one thing that we might look at is Campo Brothers has got their equipment here on the island,
yeah, I was looking
where
at
these
their,
other companies, they got to come on the island do it.
Yeah. Also, I think they mentioned something along the lines of they've done a lot of, they have our contract for our water main breaks. They wanted to showcase that they could do other work for us and wanted to do some other different types of work for us. So, this kind of fits that category as compared to some of the other work that they do for us. So, from a scheduling standpoint, it's worth mentioning all contractors in the pre-bid discussed when this project would take place. And all of them, along with our engineers, agreed the best time to do this was construct in like the March timeline, March-April timeline, so that it's not sitting for a long period of time in gravel before they can repave. So with the plants usually opening and frost laws coming off in April, they would construct in like mid-March through mid-April and then be ready to pave right there shortly afterwards as the plants reopen. So that was kind of the game plan. So this isn't happening tomorrow. This is going to be a spring project. We'll award it. They'll have it on the calendar and do it right around mid-end March, something like that.
Okay, well, given that the unit prices are all over the place, that might explain why Campo gave a good price. So we're really pleased about that. I think we'll call the question first. I'd like to discuss this a little further. My thought is south of this on West River Road, there's another drain crossing. It's not as badly deteriorated as this. It's not a flooding problem. Anybody know where that is? I would say it's 0.2 of a mile less, or John, maybe?
I think it's just south of the pagoda.
Okay, in that area, yes.
Yeah.
And since these unit prices are so good, and I don't think, so I guess what I was looking at that crossing, the trees are right up against the edge of the road there too, kind of a mess. And I don't know if you could use some of their unit price work to move in on that and make it not a replacement, but a maintenance project. If we could get some maintenance done on that drain there too, or even here, I don't know if there's any value of expanding the area up the ditch to the east. I don't know what lies east of there.
Well, I don't think that one we're talking about is as deep as the one that we're gonna repair.
This one's deeper, right?
It's deeper?
No, I'm asking you. The other one is deeper?
No, I'm saying the
The
south
one on the paper right now is deeper.
is the deepest one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one you're talking about in the south is not that deep.
Well, I don't want to just spend money, but if we got good prices and if the contractor wants, could we authorize, I want to approve this first, but do we want to think about another 20 or 30,000 of our drain funds to either improve this a little further than what it's going on in terms of the clean out of the ditch, or jump up to that other one on West River and clean some of it out and use it as a maintenance, not a replacement project? I don't know what anybody's thought is on that. Because that other one, there's fallen trees and look like they're right near the edge of pavement.
So you're talking like a ditching and a grubbing type of project, not a
Whatever it
reconstruct.
takes, or even maybe jetting that culvert in that other location. Here, we're gonna replace it, but just view it as a maintenance item and not have to go through the county for a permit, although they'll catch us cleaning it.
Yeah, because that would be my concern if we extended some of these unit prices to replace a culvert in another location. We got tied up in engineering, and I'm not engineering, but permitting for 6 months with this project.
Yeah, I
This
don't-
was
I don't
supposed
wanna-
to be a
Yeah, so
summer
even for
project.
maintenance, we
Yeah.
couldn't go in and clean the ditch
Well,
out?
we probably could, yeah.
It's just a thought,
Yeah.
because these are good prices. So let's deal with this first.
I just have a quick question. So the only permit that's needed is the Wayne County one?
I don't know that for sure. That was the most complicated one to secure because it had to go through engineering with the county, being that this project was a full reconstruct. So
Right.
any of the other permits, Rains is responsible to pull those if they're necessary, whether it's a soil erosion or
Part 91?
an Army Corps or Eagle permit, but
Yeah.
they'll handle those. so.
Okay, so that's,
And that was never an issue as far as the construction schedule we were talking about, so, that shouldn't be a problem, but Rains usually navigates that permit process and gets us what we need.
Usually, Laura, we get these waived. Usually. They budget them and then they usually get them waived.
yeah, okay.
All right, so are there other questions on this? If not, all in favor of approving a contract to Compo in the amount of $110,815 for the work as bid for what is called the West River Road Drain Improvement Project, north of Island Estates Drive? Do we have a motion for support?
Yes.
And a
Les
second.
and Lenny.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign? Okay, so it's approved. Any thought on expanding it or just drop it?
What we can do is we can talk to the contractor about that other location, have him look at it and, put together what that cost would be based upon the unit prices and have our engineers talk to them too. Make sure it's, worthwhile endeavor, whatever we're planning on doing there, and then I can bring it back as a change order or whatever we want to.
Okay, that's a good idea. So, our next meeting, as you know, we're not gonna meet in December or January. Our next meeting is our budget meeting in February. If anything looks like there's possibility that you can maximize a few dollars here to get some work done, you'll just bring it back to us at our February meeting as a change order to expand the project.
Yeah, that timing will work out well, because the project's not gonna start till March. Speaking of our meeting schedule, normally about this time of the year, you guys will see a, recommendation to the board, before you for our supplemental winter maintenance program, with the county. We've been asking them the past month or so to get us that letter and that quote, and even as recently as today, I talked to them, and they were supposed to get something to me by the end of the day, but I haven't seen anything. I'm sorry. So as of right now, I don't have a proposal from the county to share with you for the supplemental winter maintenance program. And if we're not meeting until February, obviously I won't be able to get something in front of you until, after the winter season is already well underway. So either the township board will have to move forward with whatever comes from the county without your recommendation, or we can make a recommendation, but I have no dollar figure to provide to you right now because they haven't provided anything to us. So in thinking about that, if you wanted to make a conditional, an action item of support with some conditions on it, that might be appropriate. We have budgeted this year $30,000 for the supplemental winter maintenance program. So my thinking would be, would the DPS commission support it if it was under the amount that was budgeted for this fiscal year? And that would be the recommendation. I mean, obviously I don't like to do it that way, but I don't have a letter to share with you at this point from them.
Well, we could do that.
Or let Dave handle it right at the board level. Just
So-
let Dave Nadeau handle it right at the board level.
That's up to you guys. I mean, I don't, usually the board prefers a recommendation from DPS, but if you don't have anything to recommend at this point, I mean.
What if the recommendation was the budgeted amount plus 10%? I mean, I'd hate to have it come in at, 30,500 and it fails for $500.
Over the years, we've been below 30,000. I mean,
Okay,
you guys always have the discretion to make a decision
Make it
different
make
than
it
what
more or less
DPS,
than
yeah.
the recommendation. But
And we could explain, hey, that's all we had to go off of was the budgeted number. We didn't have a figure in front of us at that point. So that's up to you guys, whatever way you want to go with
Or
it.
draw the recommendation as not to exceed 30. And then if it does come in,
If it does come in, then what I suggest is you
Then we
can
can
send
handle
it
it
to
then.
all of us and we can poll the members.
Okay.
Because it's supposedly, they say, based on the prior year's experience.
Right.
That's what they say. And we tried to look into this, many, many years ago. Ted was the chairman then. And we never got any good explanation, except that we want the priority, especially for our school bus routes. And so we've gone along with it. But I know that Brownstown pays similarly. I don't know what Canton does, but as a township, if we want the priority, to get at least a truck out salting in the mornings.
I was on our DPW directors meeting today, and the county was on that call. Quite a few members of the county and their road maintenance crews, and they said they're having a real challenge with staffing right now, and they fully expect that the winter maintenance this summer or this winter is going to suffer just because they can't attract and they can't retain drivers to be able to provide services. They basically said, well, we're going to get everything done. It's probably just going to take longer than what it normally does just because we're short-staffed. So,
I heard a discussion on WJR with the Oakland County Road Commission, the same issue, and I think they said they had 18 openings for drivers that they can't fill them, and they're paying pretty good wages. I think, and I don't remember exactly, it might be $24 an hour or something like that. But it's a mystery to me what's going on in our society.
Can't find people anywhere.
So, so you want us to do a formal motion?
well, that's up to you guys. I'm just telling you what we're faced with here is, we're not meeting until February, so I won't be able to bring anything before you between now and when the winter season occurs. And I know the township board, in the past, they've preferred to have a recommendation come out of DPS, so.
You're comfortable if we do, like Dave suggests, say, whatever the current year's last year's budget was, what we have in the budget this year, if it doesn't exceed that, we would recommend.
Yeah,
we go along with it?
I would be comfortable with you saying, the DPS commission recommends the supplemental winter maintenance program, so long as the costs, don't exceed the budgeted figure of $30,000 a year, so. That would be my recommendation.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support it.
Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay, me.
Okay. All right, you got that, Derek?
Yes, sir.
I guess we're on to manager's report.
Water loss reports is included in your packet. So cumulatively, we're at 11.799%, and that is through the month of September.
That's great.
Well, yes. Yep, it gets a little bit better this time of the year, and then I is 55.86% over at the plant. So give you a figure for, what we're getting in there that's not sanitary water.
I keep hoping that John's, through his sewer TV inspection program, is gonna find this big leak. Unfortunately, I don't think there is one.
Well, and we've been busy with the program, so I'm sure when we get to John's report, we'll talk a little bit about that. But we've been finding plenty of stuff with with storm and sanitary sewer through our TV program. So it's been busy these past about the past month or so. So the project status report is included in the packet. We went over a little bit of the stuff over at the wastewater treatment plant under Ryan's report. And actually, I'm going to bring John into the fold on these conversations because he can probably shed some additional light on some of these items. The water main project on Meridian Road is all but complete. They're working on restoration right now. They were putting in topsoil today. John, do you have anything else to add on that?
Should be completed by the end of the week.
And then there'll be hydro seeding, so there'll be that'll be the icing on the cake basically for the restoration work that occurs. And I know Bill had made the suggestion, I believe at the last meeting, maybe getting some of the barricades off the road. So some of that did occur, over the past 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
And so hopefully that cleaned things up a little bit.
So they're gonna hydro seed this winter, or this
Yes, sir.
year yet?
This week. It'll be completed by the end of the week.
Good.
Phase 3 of the cleaning and televising is almost complete. Phase 4 is already in progress, and that's about 95% complete. Anything to add there, John?
Again, the only issue we have on that section is coming through the golf course, the Girls Out Golf and Country Club. So we're still trying to come up with a plan of how to make that work best. Access to, it's right down the center of the golf course, so
Middle of January.
that's an option.
Yeah,
So
when it's hard.
the sewer runs right down the middle of
Center.
Third fairway.
So
Third Fairway?
it comes from the south to the north. It goes through
Goes
all the
covered through
fairways.
All the fairways, north to south. So yeah, it
Down
cuts
the
through 9 all the way back to 3.
So it's just between Bellevue and Parkway, you're talking?
No,
No, it's
between
between
Grow
Hawthorne
Road,
Plant.
and, well, actually, from Grow Road all the way to
All the way
Parkway.
through.
Right down it's right here, Bill, right at, just west of where you're sitting, straight through to Parkway.
Interceptor?
Correct.
How big?
15 to 27.
Okay,
Just need access to it to televise it.
probably this winter?
We're hoping.
When the ground's frozen?
Depends on the winter conditions.
West River drainage improvements, we discussed that tonight. That was approved, so that'll take place in the spring or late winter. HVAC lab unit, that requires a Part 41 permit for which we have to do a system design. So I know Raines is looking into that. Basis of design, the ACO work, that was submitted for Eagle's review prior to the December 31st deadline, so that's still in process. We are going to be having a conversation with the Township Board on November 29th, and part of that conversation will be the mandated sewer treatment plant improvements that are required and how we're going to finance those. So we'll be talking about a potential millage request for next year to help fund the improvements that are required under the ACO, as well as potentially have a little bit of cushion to assist with other wastewater treatment and sewer system repairs above and beyond just the ACO work. So we'll be having that conversation with the Township Board at the end of this month. And the way we've got it laid out, it'll be actually a good meeting to watch if you have the time. The way we have that laid out is to ensure that we have the financing available to satisfy the schedule that the ACO was mandated. So we got to have the cash available to be able to contract the work, and also have the cash available to be able to pay the contractor that ends up doing the work. And then have all the millage revenue come in to be able to support the bond that we issue to support the work. So we'll talk about how that will all be scheduled at the end of November. So pay attention to that if you have the time to do that.
So could you explain, what are you talking about, a study session?
Yeah, so the township board had asked that the township put together like a 5-year financing plan, with all of our millages. The road millage is part of that. That's why we've been talking about it over the past couple of months, and we wanted to get it, basically okayed by the DPS commission, because that as well as the ACO work needs to be factored into the overall millage levy that we're going to have over the next 5 years. So we've put together a plan that we'll go over with the township board that addresses all these capital improvements that are coming up over the next 2 to 3 years, whether it's the ACO or the roads or other demands on the township's budget, and we'll lay out a plan, a financing plan to be able to address all those needs on the 29th. So, and then
November 29th.
November 29th. Yep, and it's at 6 o'clock.
Evening?
6 o'clock.
So, and part of that plan will be the roads millage proposal that DPS commission had approved at your last meeting. So, and that'll be explained in the context of all the other financial requirements that we foresee over the next 5 years.
That's great you're doing that. So this will be televised?
Yes. I believe it's here. Yep.
I think that's a great idea.
So we talk a lot about the ACO work. We have a schedule we have to keep. We have to have that work completed by 2025. So we need to plan for the financing for it. We're doing the engineering right now. We need to plan for the contracting. We need to plan for the bidding. We need to plan for the construction. All that's got to happen on a schedule. So, that conversation will kick off one of the other very important aspects of it, and that is the actual financing of the work that the engineers have designed, right? So we have a couple different components there. So that's probably more than what you want to know, but at least gives you a little bit more meat to the ACO stuff that we've been talking about on our asset management, or sorry, our capital improvement, our projects update. Asset management plan, that's still in process. We've been going through steadily the inventorying of the sewer system that we talk about each month, the televising, the inventory of the wastewater treatment plant, the asset length and criticality and all that. Our next meeting on the asset management plan will be in December, and during that meeting we're going to be talking about the vertical assets of the wastewater treatment plant, how the HVAC program will factor into that, the project cost for the ACO and how that's built into our asset management plan, our rate structure analysis. So we continue to prod along on the state mandated schedule that we have for our asset management plan. So it's all in process. So although you probably don't hear a lot about it, there's a schedule that we keep to be able to get to the conclusion of the development of the asset management plan, and we're on track to be able to do that. So nothing new on the NPDS permit application. Church Road's all done, and then there's a list of projects completed on the back page. Any questions on the project status report? If there isn't, there's a couple of different updates I wanted to provide. The ditching program continues around the township. We're probably, I think we ran the numbers today, we're probably right around $40,000. We had budgeted $60,000. So we could probably keep them going a little while longer, but we're starting to run out of season. Right now we're kind of up against it as far as growing grass, so I'm not sure how much hydro seeding we're going to do yet this fall. Some of the ditching that we do, we might have to wait to hydro seed that until the spring, but the program's been very well received once again this fall. The contractor's done an excellent job. We've worked over a lot of different locations and got through a lot of our lists so far this year. John, you got anything to add to that?
We're almost completed with that list, and probably another week we should be finished up with him. If we can go in more into the budget amount of the 60, we should be able to go at least one more week. But it won't be hydroseeded till the spring.
Where do they dump the spoils from the ditching?
Over in the Commerce Park. So that's where our spoils are also going for the water main project. So there was an area that was dedicated a couple of years ago and inventoried with wetlands and all that delineated back to the rear end of the Commerce Park that the township's been putting spoils there for the Park Lane water main project, for the Meridian Road water main project, and then also for the ditching work that we're doing. And the quantity of material that we're generating out of the ditching project's fairly minor as it relates to the water main project, spoils that we had. So it's kind of a drop in the bucket compared to the spoils from those projects. So.
Other questions? You said you had a couple things.
Yeah, I just wanted to make you aware, there's gonna be some work that's gonna be happening, if I haven't already told you this, with DTE. Did I mention that to you? Okay, so DTE is gonna be installing a new gas main that's going to run across the Trenton Channel, up Parkway through the golf course and intersect at Meridian. So actually today you probably saw some clearing happening at the intersection of Meridian and Parkway on the southwest corner. That's in preparation of the new gas line going in, and I believe that's an 8-inch line. Is that correct? And they will be working some on the West River Road ramp that will be closed for a period of time, but it will not be closed while the Parkway Bridge is open. So they're only going to occupy that area while the Parkway Bridge remains closed. They might have to close the ramp for a day or two to pull a pipe through, but if that actually happens, it'll be very minor. It'll only be a day or two. So, but they're going to be working on that project for probably a good 3, 4, 5, 6 months. They're going to be working on the island for the most part in the beginning, and they won't actually do, I don't think, the underwater work going over to Trenton until next spring. So that connection or that piece of the project won't happen until the main line has been installed on the island. So if you or the residents see activity going on there, that's what that's all about. That's a DTE project for a new gas line service that's coming through. So
Did they tell you why they were doing that, Derek?
my understanding was just that the old,
Redundancy,
was it redundancy? Are they going to keep the old line still up and
I
running?
believe so.
That comes across at Highland.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The high-pressure line comes across
Yes,
at
you're right.
Highland
Yep.
and goes all the way up to Thoroughfare.
Yeah, and this one's going to be an identical size too, isn't it? The one on Highland is an 8-inch, and this one's going to be an 8-inch.
yeah, I believe so.
So, based on the route you described, so I assume from where the Parkway Bridge is, just immediately south of it, there's a vacant land there between there and the marina?
Yes, but they're actually going to be on the north side of the ramp. That line comes up, the proposed line comes up the north side of the ramp, the West River Road ramp. They're going to be in that, basically in that ditch line. And
What
then
are they going to go underneath the center of the swing span?
No, they're on the south end of the swing span.
Oh, okay.
They'll be coming across the river at the south end of the swing span. They'll be coming across, that vegetated area to the south of the bridge, to the
Well-
north of Water's Edge of Marino. They'll be
Yeah.
coming through
That's
there.
where our 24-inch main comes
Right.
in.
Yep. And our engineers have been in very close coordination with their engineers to make sure that there isn't any issue with that. And a matter of fact, I think the project probably would have happened a little bit quicker if there wasn't that coordination, because I think they did some modifications to the location to try to stay far enough away from that main. But it'll come up the north side of the ramp road, and then it'll cross over the ramp as it intersects into Parkway, and then it'll go up the golf course up to Meridian.
The north side of the ramp puts it through that landscape area.
Yeah, but it's gonna be right near the ditch line, so it's
Okay.
not through the middle of it or
Yeah,
anything.
right through, okay, okay. Well, very good.
So that's not us, that's DTE, just in case the residents ask. And
Derek, if you know, what's the separation right on the third fairway? between the water and the gas line going in? What's the distance? Any
10
idea?
feet.
Have you seen anything, or
10.
nobody knows? You
Yeah,
don't have to guess.
I think
just
like John
wonder.
said, I think,
It's 10 feet, and they're gonna maintain 10 feet the
All
entire
the
way.
way.
All the way.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
yeah. And I think they were looking at getting as close as 6 at the ramp, but I think we were able to push them off to 10.
We did.
Yeah.
It's 10 all the way. And Derek, you can go ahead and tell them about the inspection that DT's paying for to
Oh, yeah,
make
yeah.
sure
So
that-
we have a retainer or a bond with DT, so our inspectors will be part of that project, and DT is gonna be paying for our inspectors to be able to make sure that our interests are secured throughout the duration of the project.
Speculated, who's our inspector, John?
Oh.
it's range subject to Bucelli.
It's less.
Les.
Yeah, Les. No, it's,
Now I'm really concerned.
Rains will
crap
be
from
doing
China.
that, and they normally sub that out to like Bocelli is who usually does those inspections.
All right, is that it?
That's it, John. Do you have anything else?
On the status project, or
I guess we can go into your report if that's okay.
so
Chairman.
lots of good input from the Church Road project. We got a lot of good comments from the neighbors in the neighborhood there. We just finished last weekend the shoulder material installation, so that's done and completed. I don't know if you guys have driven it lately, but they did stripe the road, so that's completed as well.
Every day.
Oh yeah, and winterization of fire hydrants was completed last week, so everybody can rest assured that your fire hydrant will work properly.
And if we use them, call you,
Yes, sir. Please do.
And you'd be happy about that.
because we're using some tomorrow, hopefully.
Is that it?
That's all. Thank you.
I just want to wrap up, in case anybody's watching. This commission's been working on several projects for a couple of years, but, so this year, we had the $4 million water main project on Meridian from Parkway through the Macomb area, through past Ferry, over to Thoroughfare. And it was quite congested, and I actually think the contractor did a real good job for a complicated project, but we replaced the water main that we've had several, numerous breaks on through the past winters. So that was a big deal. Then we were able to repave Church Road. And then at the sewage plant, we replaced the raw sewage pumps, and that's a big deal. It's in the lower level at the plant. And then we replaced the Swan Island drainage project was finished. The Elba Island pump station repairs were finished. A new bar screen, which was $1 million project at the wastewater plant that would help separate solids, mostly diapers and things that don't really deteriorate like they're supposed to. And we repaired the primary and final clarifiers, the motors and the pumps at those, and that also was a $500,000 project. So that's a list of things that we've been able to accomplish. And I do hope, as we move forward next summer, we can do some open houses at the wastewater plant. So with that, I guess are there any discussion items? As chairman, you have in your packet, I asked Derek to put in your packet the final revised copy after we changed the road plan to go to 15 years. And so here's a copy of it, and I just suggest you hang on to this. In case anybody asks you about it, you've got a copy of it. That's why that was put in your packet. I do have a couple, and I was thinking about Les, because he's always got some comments, mostly about signage, but nevertheless, I have a couple comments I want to offer tonight. As we think about budget in February, two things I want to throw out, maybe three. I think we're really short-staffed. We only have 3 full-time employees, and I'm not pushing for another full-time employee. But with the work we want to get done, we have our maintenance money, and I believe that if we were to hire 2, let's say, I'm just going to use this as an example, college-age students within our budget, not asking for more money, we've got the budget. But I think that if you drive around the island, the county never came over and mowed once. Am I correct? Did the county ever mow once this year?
Not in 21, no.
So any roadside maintenance beside people's front yards, we've done it. And we have that new equipment now that we saw demonstrated. And when we were walking at that demonstration, Phil, you and I talked about, too bad we can't have a crew that would utilize this equipment. And I know we mow the roadsides, but anyway, my point is, I put a pencil to this. And if we were to hire two, let's say college age or whoever, for summer, there's 13 weeks in the summer, June, July, and August. If we worked them 40 hours a week, that's 80 hours a week at $15 an hour. I only put 15 in because I think we're paying 12, but you can't hire anybody. And they worked with roadside mowing, did maintenance in our ditches. And I know we have one part-time person. I'm talking about 2 additional. So we could do a nice job. I mean, we budget the money for roadside maintenance. And I think I would like to just throw this out for you, Derek, and John to consider. Hire a couple more part-time people, and I think we could do an even better job than we've done. And I'm going to ask you guys to comment on this in a minute. Also, I'm just throwing this out, and you say you got your hydrant maintenance done. For the water department, I guess it's more of a question. If we hired a part-time person at $15 an hour to assist the water department, and I've just thrown out, say 500 hours in the fall or in the summer. They could paint hydrants, grease hydrants, just for hydrant work. I have to believe with 3 full-time people that would help you guys too. We have the capability in the water fund to hire a part-time person. So no fringe benefit consideration here. I just think we need more help. And so you have 3 people right now, right?
Correct.
So I understand George is going to have surgery, so he'll be out of commission for a while.
Correct.
How long, he's going to be off for a month? Something like that?
At least at this point, yes.
So that means you're down to 2. So what is your staffing situation? I mean, as far as that's concerned.
So right now, as we sit here today, we have 3 full-time DPS employees, maintenance employees, and we have 1 seasonal employee that we employ. So, and he, for the most part, works about 40 hours a week, doesn't he?
Correct.
But he ebbs and flows. He comes and goes as far as, you know, he's working that right now, but he is seasonal, and we're restricted within our contract to keep his hours within a certain total. So he eventually will have to take a leave because we can't work him as a full-time employee by way of the union contract. We wanted to hire a couple of part-timers, and actually we had budgeted for some part-timers this past summer to do exactly what you're talking about, but I think what happened is we ran into a real problem with finding eligible candidates. And that would be my only pause about trying to accomplish what you're talking about, is just trying to find somebody. And I think John and I had worked, John more than I, to try to find some college kids, and they weren't available.
So what were we offering pay?
I think we were willing to do 15. 16, yeah. So, and we couldn't. So
sad state of affairs.
I to your point, I think it's a great idea, and I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think we budget for it and anticipate filling those positions, but just with the understanding of we might have some complications with filling those positions. So hopefully things get better.
Well, I wanted to throw it out there with the idea that I'd see if the commission supports that idea. So who wants to speak to it? Anybody agree with that?
I think it makes a lot of sense.
It makes an absolute ton of sense.
We got a whole bunch of people that are coming across the river down in Texas that be looking for a job.
Only you. Are you still awake down there at the end of the table?
I'm still here.
Anyway, Les, you think the idea's all right?
Yeah, I mean, when I was working full time, there was 5 of us out in the field. Me and John and Roger and Gary and.
All right, so I'm not asking for new money. It's already there. It's just how we allocate it. So the sense I got is nobody disagrees with it. Okay.
No.
So maybe in February when you bring your budget, we'll at least talk about it. So, okay. So that both, now it's up to you guys whether you want to budget a little more seasonal for the water department, but I have to believe the demands on particularly John, because he's handling all kinds of complaints, I know. Would be helpful if you could hire somebody even to do the hydrant maintenance stuff. So the second thing I want to throw out is the wastewater treatment plant. And I'm going to bring Phil into this because he rides his bike by there. And he and I were over there talking about the plant. We have a lot of stuff inside the plant that everybody's supportive of and concerned about. One of the things that I've observed is that the frontage, our front yard, is pretty miserable, pretty skimpy. There's a few pine trees left, and they've been trimmed up, and the grass that's there is literally dead. If you drive down West River, now that traffic's on West River, all the homes are beautifully maintained. Then you get to our wastewater plant. So what I want to throw out is I would like to ask Derek in next year's budget that you budget $20,000 to start a landscape program for the front yard. And Ron Moran and I, you know Ron, of course. Ron leads the DDA, and Ron grew up in the landscape business. We went out and looked at it, and he came up with the idea that instead of buying 6 or 7 or 8 foot shrubs, that if we did a 2 to 3 foot berm, which is cheap, and then planted 4 foot shrubs on them, we'd help screen that fence. So I'd like to start from when you go by the plant, from where the garage door is, where you can get into the plant, to the north. And the front yard right south of there, we could clean it up a little bit and it would look good without a lot of money. But I'd like to start to budget some money for that. Now I talked to Ryan about this. I was up there a few times this summer with Ryan. Of course, Ryan says, "Oh, I'm not opposed to that. That'd be great, you know." But there was a sprinkler system there, and apparently they tried to activate it, and it won't work. It hasn't been activated, in Ryan's knowledge, in a long time. So the pump mechanism in it probably has to be replaced. We'd have to have that looked at too. But we don't want to plant anything and then have it die for lack of watering. But the plant looks lousy, so I'll just throw that out to you guys and Laura, and ask you when you drive by the plant to observe what it looks like. But I think we need to start to fix it up. And the other thing at the plant, if you go through the plant, Ryan's guys, keep it up. There's some areas where there's tile on the walls. There's some areas where there's a lot of concrete walls in the plant, particularly on the ground level, and even on the second level. It goes down 4 levels, but even on the second level, I think we need to do some painting. Now, if you ask Ryan, he says, "Well, me and the guys, we try to get to the painting when we can," and I don't see them doing a lot of painting. I think that it's time when people go to the plant on a tour or whatever. I'd like to see it look better than it does. And it's just a question. For 30 years, I don't think they've painted any walls. And there's been some stuff splattered on the walls, probably chemicals and so forth. But I'd like to budget $20,000 for a commercial painter to come in and do some priority painting. We have a lot of pipes that need to be repainted, and we just don't seem to be able to get to that. And I understand that with just 3 people at the plant. So I want to throw that out too. You have to go to the plant and look at it with me. I've got to take you on a tour. But those are 2 ideas I have to improve the image of the plant. I think it's important. Anybody want to comment on those 2 items? Phil?
No, I agree with both of those. The other thing we spoke of, and I think that should be included, is I think we need to thin out the west side of the road some and
Oh, the growth on the
the
Trenton
growth
Channel?
on the Trenton Channel side, and clear that up along with it. In other words, thin that out quite a bit. But no, I agree with both.
That's on our plan for this winter. We're gonna do that with the new flail mower. We were actually gonna start today, but we didn't get to it.
Great.
It'll get done.
Behind the guardrail you're talking about? Behind the guardrail?
Correct.
John, remember I mentioned to you that where you did clean it up and it looks good, but
Gonna get that
you
too,
need to
though.
go in and cut the 6-inch and 4-inch little trunks of trees that are sticking up where you couldn't cut them down with a chainsaw.
Hopefully it'll be done before spring. You mentioned a couple of the items that are gonna cause an issue for me for the next couple months, but I'm gonna get there, Bill.
Well, I understand.
It's on the
When you have
Christmas
a
wish
crew.
list.
When you have a crew. Okay, those are
What are you
the,
doing tomorrow, Bill?
those are the chairman's comments for tonight, but I just wanted to throw those ideas out.
Bill, if I may, because we're not gonna meet until probably after we start putting the budget together, are there any other priorities that any of the DPS commissioners might have as it relates to our budget for next year? And think about special projects like roads. Usually we have about $100,000 in discretionary funds available after our, I guess I would consider them to be our annual projects that we do, which is dust control and snow removal and roadside mowing. You know, is it the priority of the commission to do sectioning or chip seal or crack sealing, or, you know, with that $100,000 we have in money for roads?
Is there any way to look at when they're doing the drainage project on West River, and they're gonna do some paving, some repaving? Can we just finish that at the same time?
Extend the limits of that? Possibly.
I mean, they're there,
Yeah.
and then it just comes off of our,
Well, and our fiscal year starts April 1, so what we could do is just add that on to the unit price for whatever we got with the bid to extend those limits. Obviously, the work that we're doing is part of drainage, because it's
No,
gonna
I
be part of
understand,
drainage, but
but-
then bring roads into play and extend those limits north and south is what you're
and
saying.
do it at the same time, everybody's right there, and just take West River off of our list.
Yeah, and I don't know how far we can get, but it might not completely remove it off our list, but we could probably, from an economies of scale standpoint, achieve some benefits there.
Well,
West River was $800,000.
Right, and I think what Dave's talking about is just maybe take it around the corner, you know, towards Horse Mill, and then maybe bring it back, you know, whatever we can get coming south.
Right.
yeah, I guess my comment would be, we used to drive the roads in April, the end of March, early April, as a commission, get in 2 cars and drive them and come up with a list. The potholes on Meridian that I noticed today, they've just developed overnight. They're real bad again, John. But it seems to me there's scattered problems, mostly on concrete roads right now. So I wouldn't want to put, I don't know what I mean, it's okay to look at West River, extending it, but if the $120,000 we have, I think we gotta do some sectioning again. We didn't do any this year, and I know sections of Park Lane are bad. Another one as bad is by the post office that goes back to the children's area. There's 2 bad 6-8-inch potholes right there where the concrete's just failed. So, I guess I would rely on John to come up with a list, and, because some of this concrete sectioning is very costly.
Yeah, if you guys give us the priority, if you want a section, you know, we can take care of where we need to be with that. It's just the general idea for what your priorities are and what you would like to see done. I know John and I have some drainage work we would like to do from a drainage standpoint, going through Manchester Woods area. And we would like to actually do that this winter when it freezes up. There's a main ditch line that runs north to south between Manchester and Rucker. And the best time to clean that out there would be during the winter time. Whether that would fall into next fiscal year or not, I don't know. More than likely, we would like to do it this winter. So, you know, that's something that we're going to be looking at doing. Because we have a big flooding issue on Manchester, and all that water comes south and goes through the woods there, and it's really choked coming through the woods heading towards Lake and Rucker area. So we want to get that moving. That's maybe, like I said, not a budget issue for next year, but it's just a heads up for something we would like to do
Water
this winter.
flows from the north to south from Manchester to Rucker?
Yes, yep.
Where you gonna, is there a low area that runs east that you can,
Get outlets into Smith's Cut.
There's a ditch line that runs through the woods between Manchester and Lake Rucker area that needs to be cleaned. It's silted in. It's got a lot of deadfalls that have fallen in it that have dammed it up. And you need to get a contractor in there with an excavator to be able to re-ditch that and clean that out. So, and the best time to get in there is during the winter time when everything's froze up. So, we actually did a tour with probably 4 or 5 residents as well as a board member back in July, August, and kind of came up with a game plan. So, once again, it's probably not a budget item necessarily for next year, but that's worthwhile to talk about just as a heads up. We'll probably be bringing a proposal forward to go ahead and getting that done. It might be for our February meeting, or it might go right to the board, so, but on the horizon. But anyways, give it some thought. We don't have to decide about all this stuff tonight, but in absence of having a December and a January meeting, I just want to put it on your radar. You can email me, hey, these projects we're aware of that we would like to see incorporated into the budget if at all possible, and then, you know, at least we have some input prior to me putting a draft together. So at least some of the stuff will be addressed in the first iteration of the budget for us.
you and John, particularly John is out in the field all day, every day. And I would rely on you and John to come up with a recommendation at budget time of what you see our priorities. It could be sectioning all over the place. It could be some repairs on Bellevue. Bellevue, in my mind, is worse than Ferry. I mean,
Great.
in terms of failed pavement. I mean, there's a lot of alligators. But anyway, is the commission comfortable with relying on staff to come back with recommendations, unless we have one that is our priority?
Well, I had a specific question when everyone's done. Les and John, when you're westbound at Four Corners, Meridian and Grosse Ile Parkway, you're in the westbound lanes, you're in the north lanes, there's 2 valve stops right there. One's about an 8-inch and one's maybe a 12, and they've sunken into the road. What are those, and what do they control?
Those control nothing.
So they're just...
Those are monitoring wells that was put in to monitor the amount of gasoline that has leaked out of the tanks at the corner.
And that's gone. So that's that old gas station that was
Yes, but
raised?
they still go in those monitoring wells and see what is,
Contamination.
contaminating the ground.
Who does that? The state?
I don't know who does it. All I know, they're in the road.
The state does it? Anyways, there's pretty good sized depressions there, which I think create a functional problem from a non-smooth road surface. So those depressions could topple a bicycle at night, could topple a motorcycle. Those need to be looked at. They're fairly significant. The 8-inch is small, but it's fairly significant. Little kid hits that, he's down. That's traffic. And same thing with the other one. And they're noticeably depressed. So what's the fix on those?
Those can be fixed with the funds to monitor, so it won't be the township.
Doesn't matter, just gotta get done.
The westbound lane.
Westbound lanes. So that's the north side of
Near what
Grosse Ile
corner?
Parkway.
Parkland.
Meridian, it's four corners. That's Meridian and
North
Grosse
of
Ile
Meridian
Parkway.
or south
But
of
is
Meridian?
it the south, west, or?
Well, the westbound lanes would be the lanes on the north side of the street. Most people would get that.
Is it the first corner you come to, or is it the other side?
It's right in the intersection.
Oh, right in the intersection.
Yeah. Yeah. But I never knew what those things were.
Bike across there all the time, I've never seen them.
Ask me, I told you.
You did. I can't believe they're still monitoring those things.
Oh, they can do it for years.
All right, so let's go around the table. See if anybody has anything. Dave?
No, I'm good.
I'm good.
I just have one comment. It's I'll call it trash trivia. I was looking at our bottle deposit laws because Kroger tried to gyp me out of 60 cents on returns one day. And I came across an interesting fact, and I did not know this. It is illegal to throw away a returnable bottle.
What?
You can either put it in a recycling bin, you can take it to a recycling center, or you can redeem it. You can't throw it away. That was a law passed in Michigan in 2004.
Is that a bottle or cans?
Anything that has a returnable deposit on it
Wow.
is not allowed to be put in a landfill.
Oh, Phil,
So
when they have,
and when they come looking for you,
when they have the Island Fest here, and they have the beer tent and all that other stuff, all those deposit cans are picked up, because matter of fact, I helped Jerry Dion, and John, he even worked on it. Take the garbage cans out, it's got all those returnables in it, it goes right down to our yard, it goes into a huge dumpster. It goes right out.
Wasn't
and
me,
gets
like,
dumped.
no.
well,
The animal shelter
I'm just
will take
I'm
them.
just passing this along. It
The
was
rowing club takes
Yeah,
all the bottles.
and the animal shelter.
right. I'm just saying that it is
I
actually
recall it when the
an
bottle first
ordinance,
came
a
out.
Michigan
We can put a
ordinance
sorter in,
that's
Good to know.
illegal. So
and we
that's
can
all I
sort
have.
out those bottles
Just
before it
thought
goes
I'd
in
pass
the
that
roller.
along.
John,
That's good to know. You were informed.
Make you a lot of money.
There's one thing that I thought of. There's a fella that's worked here for a number of years. His name is Gary Jones.
Yes.
And he used to be a pleasure to see at the DPW commission meetings, because he would point out various situations that needed to be addressed. In any event, my understanding is that he is going to retire effective Veterans Day, which I think that's Thursday.
Yep.
And that's all.
Jones is a good man.
Very
Love,
interesting
love,
guy.
love Jonesy. So
Gonna
yeah,
miss him.
best wishes to him for getting his retirement, and until February 8th, happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you, Lenny.
That's you, Les.
Well, I got a few things. Number one, tomorrow is the Marine Corps' birthday.
Yes, sir.
246 years tomorrow. And I got a little thing here that came to me, and it says the Marine Corps was formed on November the 10th, 1775, by the Second Continental Congress, with the first Marines enlisted under Commander Samuel Nichols. But it was not until 1921 that the Corps began celebrating that historic date officially as its birthday. Semper Fi. And another thing, I want to share a real good story with you guys before we go. When they did the expansion over there at the sewer treatment plant, they did landscape, and they had these nice pine trees all up and down in front of the sewer treatment